beast! Ah!
Hello and welcome back to Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Megan.
And this week we watched 2007's Next, starring Nick Cage, Julianne Moore, and Jessica Biel. It has 28% on the tomato meter. The synopsis is, blessed or cursed with the ability to see events minutes before they occur, Chris Johnson earns a living as a magician in Las Vegas and keeps a low profile under an alias. When terrorists threaten to detonate a nuclear weapon in Los Angeles, government agent Callie Ferris goes on the hunt for Chris and hopes to convince him to help her stop the coming apocalypse. So our movie opens with Chris. He goes to a diner in Vegas every day at 8:09 a.m. and p.m. because he has had this vision of Jessica Biel and he is waiting for her to walk in. So we open with him at the diner and then he goes and he does his magic act. He can see 2 minutes into the future, into his future. So he has a magic act where he uses that ability to perform his little tricks. And then he goes to the casino and plays some blackjack. And in voiceover is telling us how he doesn't gamble big, but he gambles just enough to make a living. And we see the security. They know that he's doing something, but they don't think he's counting cards. They're not sure what he's doing, but he's onto something. So he goes to the cage to cash out his winnings and stops a guy who was going to shoot 2 people, which leads to this big chase sequence inside the casino where they're running around trying to figure out where he's gone because they want to stop him, A, because they think he's counting cards, and B, because he just stopped this guy with a gun. And he escapes by stealing a car, and then outrunning a train and outrunning all of the Las Vegas PD.
Yeah.
But the car has LoJack, so Callie Ferris finds him. Except she doesn't because he's seen into the future 2 minutes and he knows that she's coming. So he goes back to the diner, finally bumps into Jessica Biel, and there are these little vignettes of him trying to talk to her and it just getting shot down. And he's trying it every way that he can, seeing into those 2 minutes. Saves her from her abusive ex-boyfriend. She offers to give him a ride to Flagstaff. He's not really going to Flagstaff, but he just wants to, hook up with her.
Yeah.
They get waylaid by a road that's been washed out and they spend the night in this motel called the Cliffhanger.
Yeah, Cliffhanger.
And then they get busy. And
the next day,
the FBI catches up to him.
Yep.
And there's a whole sequence with him trying to outrun it. And
where in which they destroy the hotel.
They destroy the hotel in this attempt to outrun it. And he's running down part of the fucking Grand Canyon.
Literally.
Eventually ends up with Callie, offers to help her because the terrorists have now taken Jessica Biel, and he helps the FBI go and save her. And that's all we're going to say about the synopsis at this point. We're going to get to the end when we get to the end. But this movie sucks. This movie is fucking terrible. And let me tell you why this movie is fucking terrible, if I may for a moment.
You may, absolutely.
The acting is bad. Jessica Biel is bad.
Yeah, I have a note. I don't love Julianne Moore in this at all. And that's unfortunate because I love her. She's amazing, but I do not love her in this. And despite everything else though, considering everything that's happening and how ridiculous it is, Nicolas Cage's character is very fluid. He seems very comfortable in this role. So it seems like a very easy and natural character for him to play. But as far as anyone else's, although no, that's not fair. No, that's not fair to say to any, because like Peter Falk is in this. Peter Falk shows up in this movie for a bit of a cameo,
just to play pool with Nicolas Cage.
Just to play pool with Nicolas Cage and berate him for stealing cars. Like, how many times can you keep doing this? Like, and apparently Nicolas Cage, I'm sorry, Chris Johnson gives him all of his money.
I prefer his stage name, Frank Cadillac.
Yeah, let's call him Frank Cadillac instead. But like, he gives him all of his money. Like, when we saw him when we opened the film, when he's at the cage cashing in his chips, it's $9,070. But when he goes to see, like, when he drives over to Peter Falk's in the stolen car, he gets out and he's like, I brought you 2 sandwiches. 2 sandwiches, that's $20,000. So he's giving him more than he just won. Like, he's giving him all of his money then.
Right.
That's not really explained.
I got the sense that he'd hit more than one casino that evening, and that's how he had $20,000. But
maybe
that's never explained. The relationship is never explained. Who is this dude to Frank Cadillac? Is this his friend? Is this his mentor? Is this his dad? It's never explained. And we never see Peter Falk again.
We don't.
There was a holy shit, it's Jim Beaver playing the head of the FBI.
Yeah.
I love Jim Beaver.
Bobby Singer forever.
He gets 2 scenes in this movie, a total of like 5 lines. They did do some really interesting things. I really like the chase scene in the casino where he's trying to get away and the casino security is trying to get him, and he's using his powers to stay one step ahead of them by like hiding behind a slot machine or turning this way so that he's moving with the guy in front of him, changing his shirt and his hat. That was clever.
Yeah, it was.
But then he steals a fucking car, and he's being incredibly reckless because he's speeding through the streets of Las Vegas. He's got a full detail of cops on his ass, and it's like, if you're trying to keep a low profile, so much so that you like, you know, don't gamble big and you use a stage name and this, that, and the other, then you're kind of throwing it out the window and being really reckless by stealing this car from the casino and then leading the cops on a chase.
No, I completely agree. It's very strange. And then when he gets to the garage and they're playing pool and like, oh, my time's running out, like I have to go. And he's like, well, go. He's like, well, wait a second. I want to see how much she knows about me and what she wants. And we see that sequence sort of play out. And she comes in and they're talking about whatever it is that he's doing. And they go into this scene where he sits on the pool table and he's like, since I was 3 years old, you know, the government's been torturing me in a very literal sense. And I'm like, wait a second. So like, does she not have a file about you? Is that how she connected you to being in Vegas and doing like a magic show? Because that didn't make any sense. How did they find him? First of all, number 2, it's 2 minutes. It's such a negligible amount of time. Why would you ever take notice of that with the millions of people that live in this country? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't vibe.
I didn't take anything about his little speech to her. It's just exposition for the audience. It's just letting them know. I mean, it's
just also very mild though.
It's inorganic the way that he brings it up, but you know, it is a little bit. That didn't bother me.
And also the described torture. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's clearly torture because it's a 36-hour marathon, which means that there's sleep deprivation, possible denial of food, blah blah blah. That's absolutely torture. But like, when I think torture, that's not what I think. Like a 36-hour marathon of flashcards. That's not what I think about torture. Like I think of like, you know, electrodes and significant stress tests and stuff like that. It just seemed weird. And then, like, he ran away, and then the very next thing that we see is where he's at the diner at 8:00 in the morning.
Yep.
Drinking a martini. And, like...
Vegas never sleeps, baby!
I know Vegas never sleeps, baby, but, like, I don't know. It's just... I have a really weird... There's a weird juxtaposition to it being a diner in the morning where people are inherently having breakfast, getting over their hangovers from the night before, so on and so forth. And, like, other, like, people that are just coming in because it's a day of business, and they're coming in and they're grabbing their breakfast and going about their day with their coffees and blah, blah, blah. And he's just sitting there like some washed-up lounge singer in a leather jacket having a martini at 8 a.m. on, like, a fucking Tuesday. It's a whole scene. It's a whole scene. And then the sequence where he's playing out all of the various possibilities of walking up to Jessica Biel's character and introducing himself it's an interesting affect, but like it's very ridiculous. And I get it. Like, if I were in his position, I would absolutely take advantage of having a power like that. Why wouldn't you? Who wouldn't? That's so advantageous to you. And especially if you've experienced things like he describes, like torture. Like, of course I would do that, but it still doesn't stop it from being kind of creepy. The one part where he gets up and it's the last one of the variations, and like as he stands up when she's being handed the menu and she goes, "Please don't." I just laugh. That was really funny.
So he takes off with Jessica Biel. And then we get our look at our bad guys for the first time. First of all, they're French.
Why? That was my question. Why are they French?
Yeah, what? Why?
That's never explained to us. Why are we hating on the French for some reason?
They are also going after Chris Johnson, aka Frank Cadillac.
But why?
Why?
It's never explained to us why they're going after him.
How did they find him?
What's the connection?
Are they going, like, they have a nuclear device. They have it in the port of Los Angeles.
Right.
Why are they going for a 2-bit magician out of Vegas? And like, you don't go to Vegas. I go to Vegas. Downtown Las Vegas is not where the happening is at. It's, he's not on the strip. He's off strip, which means that he's a lower caliber, like, because he's trying to stay under everybody's radar. He doesn't want to be Chris Angel. He doesn't want a flashy show at the Luxor. He's working at some downtown fucking casino. Who are the French people? Why do they have an explosive device? Why are they going after our magician friend? None of this is explained.
Not a single bit of it, which is so weird. It's just so, like, there's literally nothing that gives us any intention to the plot. So, like, already the intensity that's involved in it is very confusing. Like, why?
Yeah.
None of it really makes any sense. And then, when he meets Jessica Biel and immediately invites himself into her car after getting pity punched in the face.
Yeah.
And then the FBI shows up, and the people at the diner, first of all, I love the two people at the diner, the manager and the waitress, because they just played like the most innocent, like, I don't know what the fuck you want me to say. Like, this is Vegas. We get some weird people in here.
Yeah.
But also, like, the FBI are like, so he came in here twice a day for the last 5 days at 8:09 exactly. How would the diner staff know the exact minute? That's such a strange thing for them to know. And he was clearly there prior to 8:09 because he had an already made martini that he was sipping on. So he was there at like 8. Why did it have to be that specific? He knows 8:09. They don't really need to know 8:09. And then they keep trying, I guess the delineation of like the time by the minute is that they're trying to figure out the scope of his ability.
Yeah, so here's the thing. He can only see things that involve himself, and he can only see 2 minutes into the future.
Yeah.
Except for Jessica Biel. He saw her. He saw her at 8:09. He doesn't know if it's morning or night, but he knows it's at this diner. And that's why he goes back every day at 8:09 in the morning and 8:09 at night trying to find her. And
exactly.
He explains later to her that he can see her, but only that glimpse of her.
Yeah.
And that was farther out than he had ever looked before.
Ever. Right. And the thing that, like, the thing about this movie, and like I saw this, I had seen this movie before we just watched it this weekend, and I remember this movie, but I probably saw it around the time that it came out, so I was like early 20s, I think. It's completely different from what I remember it, like when you watch it again and you reflect. The constant thing that kept annoying me throughout it was that the FBI was so intent on figuring out this window as though it were a type of thing where, like, it's like an analog, like, flipping of the, like, page sort of clock timer, where, like, once it gets to 2, it resets.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not at all how it works.
No.
And it's pretty obvious in, number one, the way that he moves, and also the way that he discusses things with her in the cabin that morning before everything goes off, when, like, he's flipping through the channels. Like, so it doesn't make sense that when she walks into town to go and get breakfast the night after they've spent in the motel, when she gets picked up by the FBI, and, like, give him these pills, but make sure it's at least 2 minutes after. So, like, he would have known that there was drugs in his juice. And, like, Julianne Moore's character should have known that from the beginning of the movie, when they're looking at the cameras from the casino floor. As soon as he enters your consciousness, or you enter his consciousness, he knows. Like, so it can't be, like, a 2-minute and then flip over, restart kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's constantly seeing 2 minutes into the future, and it's constantly shifting and changing.
Yeah.
Because he's constantly looking. Like, there's so much about the time frame of 2 minutes that just doesn't make sense.
So he tells Jessica Biel his secret, and then he's like, now I've got to outrun the FBI. So he jumps over the side of the motel and starts clambering down this part of the
into the Grand
Canyon. And shit's falling behind him. And it's so bad. The CGI in this sequence is so bad. Like, giant logs are falling behind him, and trucks, and a water tower, and
cannonballs.
Yeah. And it's utterly ridiculous. And then he saves Julianne Moore's life, and she ends up capturing him. And Liz, Jessica Biel's character, gets captured by the French. But he doesn't know that yet. And so after a brief
torture session,
Clockwork Orange torture session,
yeah,
he agrees to work for the FBI. And
he's got to save his woman.
That's when he realizes his woman has been taken.
Yeah.
So he escapes from the FBI. He goes running to see if he can find Liz, and the FBI catches up to him. They're in a parking garage, and somehow he figures out that there's a sniper out there that's just waiting to pick him off. I love this scene with the sniper, because it's completely fucking ridiculous. It makes no goddamn sense.
But it's also really, really good.
He walks out into the parking garage. The sniper takes a shot at him. He flinches at the last minute, but he pretends to be dead. The sniper goes to call the Frenchman and say, I've done it, but they're jamming all the cell phone towers. And then out of nowhere comes a silent attack helicopter up between buildings.
Yeah.
So it's going from the ground up and
no
creating
buffeting.
No noise.
Nope.
Whatsoever.
Nada. Not until the fan blades reach the edge of the roof and move into the sky beyond does it start actually buffeting and making noise.
And then they yell, FBI, put your hands over your head. And he, being a sniper, starts firing at them.
Yeah.
And so they kill him. And then Chris tells Julianne Moore, like, I will help you because we've got to save my girl. They go to the docks. There's a big shootout. Jessica Biel is wearing a vest made of explosives.
Suicide vest.
There's a really great scene where the one guy says, we've got to clear every floor, because they're on a tanker ship now. We gotta clear every floor. And Chris is like, you take this one, I'll get the rest. And he stands there, and they show you how his ability works. He stands there, and another Nick Cage spawns off and goes running in one direction, and another Nick Cage spawns off and goes running in the opposite direction. And every time he comes to a crossroad, more Nick Cages spin off to go running out and test whether this direction is safe. Is this direction safe? You see him step onto a thing that explodes, and then you realize that wasn't him. That was him seeing into the future. And finally they kill all the bad guys on this floor, and they come back to him, and then he snaps out of it, and he's like, oh, she's down by the mechanics room. So they go down to the mechanical room. They find the bad guy who's holding on to Liz, And Nick Cage says, "You have one way out of it." And the guy makes a move and he goes, "That wasn't it."
Yeah.
And then the terrorist gets killed. And Liz is safe. And everybody's happy. And then Julianne Moore is like, "There's still an explosive. There's still a nuke we've got to get. Help me look at this map. This map shows radiation energy. Where do you... what are you seeing? Where's the bomb? Tell us where the bomb is." And so Nick Cage looks at the thing and he goes, all of a sudden he goes, "Oh shit, I missed something. I messed up."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "It's happening." And she says, "When?" And he says, "Now." And a nuke detonates. And you see it off in the horizon, and he turns to hug Liz, and his jacket is being vaporized. Everybody's being murdered. And then he wakes up in the hotel room with Liz. At which point I was like, oh, it was all a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It was all you seeing into the future. Fuck this movie. Fuck this movie.
Ah, yeah.
The next thing that happens is that he's outside on the phone with Julianne Moore's character and says, "I will turn myself in and help you, but I've got conditions. You've got to keep her out of it." He goes inside. He kisses Liz. He tells her goodbye. He says, "I got to do something. It may take a week. It may take a month, but if you can wait for me, I'll find you." And then he gets in the car with the FBI, and that's the end of the movie. The ending of this movie is bullshit.
Yeah.
But tell me how you feel about it, Mags.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie by any stretch. It really is not. There are some things about it that I do like. The scene on the parking garage when Jessica Biel is strapped into the wheelchair with the suicide vest on her, and it's when he's in the torture session after they grab him, the Clockwork Orange thing with the fucking eye openers. Ugh, every time. It's physical. Anyways, when we're sitting there watching that and Jessica Biel's character on the roof, she blows up. The newscast, spoiler alert, by the way, sorry, on a movie that's like, I don't know, 18 years old. When she blows up and the newscaster, she like has like a real world like experience. Like she doesn't just like truck on like, there was an explosion. Back to you, Ken. Like she just had a human reaction to someone blowing up right behind her. But I was also very disappointed in that scene because there was no blood.
Yeah.
I would have expected blood spray. So many movies that have scenes like that.
I think they were going for a PG-13 rating because remember,
Boo hiss.
There's the French guys are watching Julianne Moore's office, and her underling is like, they found a telescope in the apartment building
across the street from
the office. There was a body.
Her throat was slit.
Her throat was slit. And he's showing her a picture of a woman whose throat is decidedly not slit. And there's no blood.
And if you recall, when that scene took place, and the guy took a pill, which the pill bottle, like they referenced the pill bottle. I guess that's how they found out that they were like these French people. But like he drops it on the ground, and that's how it ends up staying. He clearly didn't have any intention of taking it with him to cover his tracks anyways. He was trying to put it on a table. So it doesn't make sense that doesn't make sense. That's the device that they use to like ping them. Anyways, when the pill bottle drops onto the ground and you see her dead body, she is bleeding, but it's like out of her side onto the carpet. Like it's not her throat.
It's not a slit throat.
So like there's continuity issues with this movie that really bug the shit out of me. Like that. Also when they're at the motel and when she is back from picking the stuff up from town and she goes to dose his drink and he is in the bathroom, I guess, taking a shower. First of all, it's the quickest fucking shower anyone's ever taken. It's literally 3 minutes. What did he clean? His hair is completely dry when he gets out. Whatever. And she goes, "Oh, don't drink that." And he's like, "How long is it supposed to take?" 5 minutes. And he walks outside and pantomimes, drinking the drug juice because he's now drinking hers. It doesn't have it. You would clearly see the entire very large entourage of federal vehicles on the bluff directly across from you.
Right?
You would, like, it literally would have been like a camping site of federal hatchback vehicles and 18-wheelers and like black blacked out trucks. Like, you would know what the fuck you were looking at. It just doesn't seem very smart. Also, when he decides that he's going to take the FBI with him by jumping into the gorge that is the literal Grand Canyon, the FBI agents plunge into the gorge just running. Full speed, jumping like it's nothing into a literal cliff, like from a cliffside. Like, you don't... And then, also, there's debris coming from, I'm guessing, a very historic motel above them. Chains and logs and trains and cannonballs and just destroying them. It's so dumb. And that whole sequence is like 45 fucking minutes. Like, I'm not sure if it's actually 45 minutes, but it's definitely like 30 minutes long, at least. So, like, that's a very big chunk. That's a very big chunk of the real estate of that film for it to be just a vision. Like, that's not like a 2-minute, that's not like I caught a glimpse of something that happens in the future.
Right. This like, oh my god, it was all a dream sequence.
Like, you fucking time traveled, bro. Like, that's what you did.
It's half the film. It's half the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when he wakes back up, they literally wrap the entire film up within 7 minutes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sucks. This movie sucks.
This movie really sucked. And like all of the chemistry between everyone felt very stiff. And just, I don't know. There is something very interesting though that I found out about this movie.
Oh, my little research gnome, what did you find?
It may in fact make you angrier than you already are, and by that I am so sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
This film is very, and when I say loosely, I want you to take that in the loosest sense possible. It is very loosely based on a short story written by Philip K. Dick called The Golden Man.
Man, Hollywood's been making bad Philip K. Dick adaptations forever. That doesn't
it just make you mad? It just makes me mad. It makes me mad. Because in it, like, he's also, like, he's supposed to be a mutant. And the reason that they know about him is because he's been tagged by this government agency as being a mutant, and their entire job is to find and then either sterilize and or kill any mutants that they find.
According to the short story?
According to the short story, yes.
Okay.
And he's supposed to be this, like, golden-toned man who is, like, sculpted like a Greek god. Like, that's how he's described. And
okay.
His name is Chris, C-R-I-S, Chris Johnson. That's where they get the name from. But in the short story, it's that he's always 5 steps ahead. It's never a time limit of like 2 minutes, but it's always 5 steps. Which, I mean, either way, it's a small, ridiculously infinitesimal increment of time compared to all of the amount of time that every single human being experiences in this country every day. Like, it's ridiculous, yeah. But yeah, it's nowhere near sci-fi, this movie. It's barely, like, supernatural. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
There are some interesting scenes, at least. Like I said, I like the scene where he's on the ship and he is splitting into copies of himself. I thought that was a really neat way to visualize what he's doing.
It is. Although,
I have written here, when they attack the dock and end up on the ship, he's a lot of the time in these narrow hallways, he's leading the way, and they didn't even bother to give him a fucking bulletproof vest.
Yeah. Because, I mean, why would you need to? He's magic.
Yeah.
He's a superhero.
So, the best thing this movie has going for it is 2 scenes with Jim Beaver, and that's about all I can recommend for. I would give this movie... I'm giving this movie an F. What would you give this movie?
Ooh. I mean, I guess I could give it an F. I think that it's definitely a D for sure, but lower than that, I mean, yeah, we can give it an F if you really think it's as bad as Wind Talkers was.
I mean, I do.
Okay, that's
This
fair.
is worse than Wind Talkers.
Do you think so?
I do.
That's fair.
All right, so our score is it's an F. What would you give the Nick Caginess of it?
Like I said, he seemed very natural in this role. His character seemed very fluid in the way that he played him. I don't think that I would give it an A per se, but I don't know if it's good enough for a B. So I would say it's probably like a B minus C plus.
Yeah, I was going with C.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just not a good movie, folks.
It's just not a good movie. It's really not.
I'm sorry. We hope the random number generator picks a better movie for us next week, because I can't take I cannot take this.
One of these days, though, we're gonna stumble upon a film that is just really terrible, but like in like a cult classic kind of way. It's amazing. It's gonna happen. I have faith.
It's The Wicker Man, and we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, folks. I think that's it for this week. As always, if you enjoy what we're doing, you can hit us up on, and you want to support us, you can hit us up on patreon.com/notthebees. You can follow us on Instagram at notthebeespod. And I guess we'll talk to you next week, Megan.
Yep, we'll be here next week.
All right. Talk at you later.
All right, bye.